Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Our conversation tonight will be both wide-ranging, far-ranging, and as much as possible, extensive and intensive. I will start by asking a question that I know part of its answer. Why did the Hebrews, I'm using the English version of the word Igbo, who were thrown out by the Assyrians, the Babylonians, why did they not settle down permanently in the desert? Why did they not settle down in the areas below the desert? Why did they not even settle in the savannah? Some Igbo skeptical academics admit that the Igbos, according to them, lived once in the area north of the plateau. They say that that's their discovery. In other words, they admitted that Igbos existed somewhere, not Igbo land, in older times. So my question is, why didn't the Igbos settle there? Why did they keep on moving downwards until they found themselves in the very deep parts of the rainforest? Of course, I have the answers to this question. And my esteemed colleagues in Omen and Defenders, I will leave it to them to answer the question, because I will expect them to listen to this talk and to comment. Again, why did the exiles, the exiles of Israel from Spain, Portugal, and the Songhai Empire, not settle in large numbers anywhere apart from the lands in the hinterland of the coast of West Africa called the Slave Coast? Of course, they came there to settle because they were looking for other Hebrew people. I'm using the English term for the word Igbo or Igbo. So my colleagues in Omen and Defenders, my very good friends, my friends in the African, American, and Caribbean communities, think about this. Why did the Igbos abandon all the beautiful lands between Igbo land and up to North Africa? If you think about what's happening today in these lands, you will have a fair idea of why our ancestors, who were visionaries, saw 500 years ago, 700 years ago, 800 years ago, they saw what is happening today and retreated into the very deepest parts of the forest, which offered a lot of cover. I have inadvertently provided part of the answer, but still, people can say more. So, we will proceed again by dwelling lightly on something I made a post about today. An Ashkenazi Jew spent his hard-earned money, purchased this book. Hebrew Igbo Republics. I will tell you what prompted him to buy the book. He looked at my timeline about May and saw a post I made. I said that the Igbo religion, that the religion of the Igbos is Israel's oldest religion. This gentleman came in box and said, Is Israel's oldest religion not the religion we have always believed it to be. I said, my good friend, this matter is a little bit more complex. What the Almighty God, the God of all flesh, to the Igbos, Chukwu, called the religion of the Israelites, was what you will do in the land. Speaking through the father of Moses, speaking through the father of the prophets Moses, in assorted passages of the Torah, that's the Hebrew Bible, God said, you will go into the land that I gave to your ancestors, but the laws, the commandments, the statutes, the morals, the ethics, even the emotions that are being given to you in the Sinai desert are the things you will do in the land. It is clearest in Deuteronomy 6:1. Ladies and gentlemen, translate things you will do in the land to the Igbo language. What you would have is Ome Nana. Some Ashkenazi Jews with eyes on the ball have looked at this. Visionaries, people that are visionaries, people who realize that today is today, but that tomorrow is another day, they have bothered to look at what the Igbos have been saying. No less a person than Spinrad Alex, a lawyer who operates out of Tel Aviv, looked critically at what we have been talking about and said that Omenana is equals to Derek Eretz. How the Jewish people see the oral traditions that produced the Torah. No less a person again than Michael Levin came to this conclusion. Caroline Rosenberg, an anthropologist, came to the same conclusion. And she said something that I've been thinking about for a very long time. She said that Omenana remained exactly as God gave it at Mount Sinai. It's up to us to wonder, to think about why God decided to preserve that tradition that he handed to Moses in its raw form. I will hazard a guess. God preserved it in a raw form. Even when the Igbos left it, Omenana did not change, and the Igbos did not say it changed. God preserved it because God, the omnipresent, the omniscient, knew that one day his people will want to go back to exactly what he gave them through Moses. This was my explanation to this brother. God touched his soul. He said, can I examine? Can I try to verify this? I said I recommended this. The Hebrew Igbo Republics. He read it, and after 3 weeks, he came in box again to me and said, Remy, what you are telling us are not things that only you know. He said that every Jew above 60 must have heard that the Igbo people are descendants of the Israelites, that in those years and days of darkness, when 10,000 Igbos were dying every day, when a young Ashkenazi Jew, Bruce May Rock, immolated himself, burnt himself alive in protest. He was protesting against the attempted destruction of the Igbo people. He said that it was all over the news that the Igbos were the Jews of Africa. So he said, Remy, what you did was to collect the information, analyze it, and present it in a book form, that the information did not originate from you. By the way, the era he was talking about Remy did not even experience Biafra directly. I was only a victim in the sense that members of my family suffered. There are two uncles that I only hear stories about today, Ambrose and Cyprian. I learned that they were stalwarts, especially Ambrose. That the elders of his community took a look at him and told his father, my grandfather, we have produced a son we will be happy to hand over leadership to. But Ambrose and Cyprian did not return from the tragedy. How the family got over the loss is another story. By 1970, my grandmother was walking about my hometown, going to refuse dumps, searching for the bodies of her children. It's another story we will not get into. But you can see that these stories are all interconnected. And we need to keep on talking about this so that the Igbo people, especially the Igbo people, will take a very sincere look at who they are. They are a people of destiny. I want to bring into this conversation something I've been thinking about for a very long time. If the Igbos keep 20% of what I just explained, Omenana, Igbos will rise to the top. Igbos will rediscover their purpose, pursue it vigorously, and they will be above harm. But the question is, what do we do so that the Igbos will begin to pursue their destiny again? We are going to keep on explaining, informing, educating. And in pursuance of this, we made extreme sacrifice again, looked for funds, appealed to Igbos with hearts of gold. They told me not to mention their names, the three figures that pledged to assist us in publishing the booklet. The book is actually a book. If we want to make it exactly like this or like this, it will be a book of over 100 pages. The book contains the rabbinical ruling. Rabbi Dr. Yehonatan Elazar Mota, the Sephardic Jew, and his team, listening to the stories about the Igbos, said that as very experienced scholars themselves, the stories alone suggest Israel. So they decided to investigate. They went beyond reading the books we have produced. This rabbi, this Haham, turned academic, embedded himself in Igbo communities in Liverpool, and saw that some of the things he did as his everyday practices are some of the things the Igbos do. They conducted their studies and affirmed and recognized the fact that people in authority have barked at presenting, at recognizing, at accepting, at affirming. It's part of what we brought together, along with two of my presentations where I talked about this. My thoughts about everything, I brought it all together in a book. We have found some money, most of it donations, because I cannot write and look for money. You cannot put two hands in the mouth, as the Igbos say, Ade tinye aka na abọ n'ọnụ. I cannot be spending 23 hours of my hours in a day collecting information about the Igbos and also acquire the skills of making money. God does not give to any person all the gifts in the world. He has given me the dexterity, the perseverance, the ability to make sacrifices and write. So, some brothers and sisters said, Remy, what you have done is worthy. It is noble. They put some money together. I'm going to add a little of mine. And in a week or 2 or 3 weeks' time, the latest book will be in print in Igbo land. We have the mind to make this book to get into as many hands as possible. Because if the Igbos read this book again and become surer of who they are, Igbos, your economy was the fastest growing in the world when you tried to live as Israelites. In modern times, the only or one of the few musicians my community has produced a song. Without informing my people, he visited Lagos. He visited the Ozobo Development Union branch in Lagos. Immediately our people saw him. They said, he is our brother. They made sure he left Lagos with a gift that is worth at least 70 million naira in today's currency. This belief that all Israel is one is what the Jewish people inserted into Judaism, and that was why, as a tiny beleaguered people in the choleric, volatile Middle East, they not only survived, but they produced one of the most important countries in the world. All Israel is responsible for one another. That was what our people did in the 1980s. When this musician I referenced took a trip to Lagos and returned with a brand new coaster bus. Igbo adventure into non-Igbo religions, into non-Igbo philosophies, into philosophies that did not come from Israel, have broken the bonds of brotherhood. This spirit is not there again. This spirit that forced people from my community to run to the aid of a brother, that forced the Jewish people to cleave to each other and produce the modern state of Israel, has grown very weak in the Igbos of today. But if the Igbos begin to read again about their history as Israelites, about their Israelite culture, this will be rekindled. This spirit will be rekindled. And the Igbos will jump up again in strength. And on this note, I stop. But not before adding, please subscribe. Subscription is free. Help turn this channel into our own CNN. And if you could, please contribute to these funds we are raising to make this book available to every Igbo. It will be donated to libraries. It will be sold at cost, but we need even money to make sure it gets to the hands of those that can't afford them. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed night.